Hello, Dominic here. I'm the Festival Director of the Bournemouth Writing Festival. Looking forward to welcoming you to Bournemouth on the 26th, 27th and 28th of April 2024. Now, as you know, Bournemouth has beautiful, beautiful sandy beaches. So when you come down, please make your way to the beaches and enjoy an ice cream. Hopefully we're going to have blue skies and lovely weather. Now, we do actually have some activities that are happening on the beach as well as around the beach. So first of all, we have Chris Aziz, and she is running again, because she did this last year, writing on the beach. So, and she's going to have a giant washing line. So when you write your words of inspiration, maybe with the sand between your toes or the sound of the waves crashing against the beach, then you can write some words and you can hang it up on her giant washing line for everyone to see. Now, Emma Scattergood is also going to be doing a walking exercise on the beach called the Creative Path. So take a look at the website for that. And Hattie Miles again will be doing her literary walk of Bournemouth. Now, as you know, Bournemouth has lots of famous authors from Mary Shelley, Tolkien and Robert Louis Stevenson. And she's going to be walking around showing you the hotspots of where those authors lived, resided and chilled out on holiday. So fingers crossed the weather's going to be good. Now, we have over 80 writing events and activities happening over the weekend, and one of those is with Beverley Glick, and I'm delighted to say she is here with me today. Now, her talk is called Dig for Gold in Your Life Story, Unearth Inspiring Stories for Your Memoir, Autobiography and Non-Fiction book. Now, I know a lot of people that come to the writing festival are looking to write or are writing memoirs and autobiographies. So I think this is going to be a great hot topic for those people. Now, her talk is going to be at 1:30 on Sunday at the Pavilion Dance. Now, Beverley is a writer, author, a developmental editor and speaker coach. She started out as a music journalist and pop magazine editor, followed by a variety of editorial roles on national newspapers. She published the book Dig for the Story in Your Soul, which helps you become the author of your own authentic story. So welcome, Beverley.
Hello, Dominic. I'm really excited to be here with you today. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks for joining. So tell us a little bit about you and your writing journey from kind of magazines and newspapers to writing this book about memoirs and autobiography and finding the story within.
Well, I always call myself the accidental journalist because I never trained to be a journalist. I was initially a secretary, but I was lucky enough to become secretary to the editor of a music paper called Sounds, which was one of the big three music papers in the late 70s, early 80s. And it was as a result of being mentored by the editor that I became a music journalist in 1980. And in the early years, as I was developing my writing style, I was responsible for launching the careers of Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, Soft Cell, Depeche Mode, all of those amazing early 80s electronic bands. So my claim to fame is being the first person to use in print the term the New Romantics. So that's where it started for me. And I carried on then, as you say, to become the editor of a pop magazine called Record Mirror in the late 80s. And then I made the switch. I worked for the NME for 3 years as well, but then I made the switch into national newspapers. So I went on to work for the Observer, then the Sunday Telegraph, and then the Sunday Express. I don't know why it was all Sunday newspapers, but it was. So I like to think that I understand the anatomy of a good story and what appeals to ordinary people. And that's really the essence of journalism for me, is to communicate with as many people as you can by telling an engaging story and making the complex plain. And these days I'm a leadership communications coach and trainer, and I'm also the developmental editor for a business book publisher called the Right Book Company. So I operate in the written and the spoken word. And of course, I'm also the author of a forthcoming book, which I'll say more about in a minute.
Wow, that is fascinating. It's like what history, but also what impact you've had on the music world. That's brilliant. The title of your talk is Dig for Gold in Your Life Story, which I think is a wonderful title. And as we said before, it's particularly focused on those writing or about to write a memoir or autobiography or even a non-fiction book. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the session you're going to have and the kind of topics you're going to be covering?
Sure. So I'll be leading a session which is inspired by the process that I came up with in my book, which is coming out in February, called In Your Own Words, Unlock the Power of Your Life Stories to Influence, Inspire and Build Trust. And in that book, I created my own list of words that had a significant impact on me at different stages of my life. So that formed what I call a life dictionary. And the idea is that by focusing on your significant words, that provides a gateway into your most meaningful stories. So I work with speakers and authors who often struggle to identify personal stories that will connect with their audience. They often dismiss the relevance of their own experience, or they say, I don't want to make it all about me. So what I want to do is connect writers with the words and the stories about those words that reveal who they are, what they believe, what motivates them. So that anyone who wants to inject more of themselves and their stories into their writing will benefit from attending.
That's fascinating. Because I know of at least half a dozen people writing memoirs, and it's really is quite a deep personal exploration, really. And some demons do come out of that, and it doesn't necessarily have to go onto the page, but once you get those emotions out, and it's almost like a healing process in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, I had the experience myself, actually, and I've written, journaled. I have published some stories about my life in the past, and I did actually write a memoir in the 2000s, which hasn't been published, might be one day. So I understand the challenges of writing an autobiography. I found it really confronting, really challenging, and you do have to exercise some demons. But the gold that you get out of it, if you go through the process, is priceless. And I think going through this process myself, the one that I describe in the book, I've been really surprised at what's come out of it, even for me, even though I've done this before. So it really can give you a fresh perspective on your life and the stories that you're telling about your life.
And it does almost feel like a self-help or therapy type exercise, because I know one person that's writing a memoir, and she has decided she is not going to publish it. She's writing it for herself to help her overcome some of the questions and some of the things that happened in her past life. Because when she said, I'm absolutely not publishing it, it's not, no one else can see it in in art in the world. And my kind of reaction was, we want, people want to hear stories like yours, because you never know, you might resonate with somebody. And she said, absolutely not, this is for me, and I just want to help to write it. So I think I never really thought about it in that way, where people write for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, because one of the audiences that I have in mind with this book is people I describe in general terms as midlifers. People who've got to that point in their lives where they're kind of evaluating where they are, where they've come from, where they might be going. So my belief is that the book can be used as a therapeutic or personal development process. So you could definitely use it just for your own benefit and for your own personal growth.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. So so once people have finished listening to your talk, what are you hoping they'll do once they leave? Like what kind of things would you like your attendees to think about or do?
Well, I really hope that they will go away and start putting together their own life dictionary. But in terms of writing, my hope is that people who attend will take away a method of getting to the heart of their story and use that as a tool to help them write their next piece, whatever that might be, whether it's a blog or an article or a social media post or a autobiography, memoir, non-fiction book. Because what I focused on is short, concise stories with a message. It's much easier, I'm sure you all know, to write a long rambling story than a specific story with a message. So I believe this life dictionary process will enable writers at any level to really home in on what they're trying to express and communicate. As I say, I've been writing journaling about my life for many years, and in this process, I had some real aha moments at points where I thought, oh my goodness, I'd never seen that connection before, or I'd never realized that that's what led to this. So I'm hoping that the people who attend are going to find that themselves, that even maybe working on writing about 2 or 3 words during the hour will lead them to major discoveries.
And you mentioned the term midlifers, but you know, in my experience, I don't think it's just for kind of a certain age of person. I think it could this kind of topic can resonate with people of all ages, whether you know you're just out of university all the way through to you know retired grandchildren or great grandchildren, because you know I talk a lot about purpose and you know what's your purpose of writing, what's your message, and you've mentioned that a couple of times already. So I think once you understand right from the beginning what your message is or what your purpose is, I think that helps the writing process enormously.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Purpose isn't one of my words actually, but it could well have been. So I totally agree. If you understand your purpose, and part of understanding your purpose is understanding the story that you're telling about yourself and how you can then change that story, rewrite that story so that it becomes more empowering and more meaningful. So you're absolutely right. Yes, you can. This is a process that you can go through at whatever age. And I do say that in the book. You don't have to be at midlife to get benefit from going through this process. But I think a lot of people who do reach midlife do come to that point of reflection.
Well, I think this is an important topic and an important session for people of all abilities and backgrounds. So thank you so much, Beverley Glick, for joining me today. Her talk, Dig for Gold in Your Life Story. I think that's such a great title, particularly having heard what you've just said as well, is brilliant. So Dig for Gold in Your Life Story is at 1:30 p.m. on Sunday, the 28th of April at Pavilion Dance. So again, thank you, Beverley, for joining me today.
Great pleasure. Thanks, Dominic. Look forward to seeing you there.
And look forward to seeing you, Beverley, and also look forward to seeing all of you in Bournemouth Town Centre on the 26th, 27th and 28th of April 2024. All the details and booking links, etc., are on the website. Take care.